This week's Parsha we read at a time where a lot of the things that the Parsha describes are things we're experiencing. The Jewish people, in the form of Yitzchak Avinu and his family, arrive in Eretz Yisrael to settle in Eretz Yisrael in Perek Chavav, but unfortunately there's a famine, like the famine in the time of Avram Avinu. It's difficult in Eretz Yisrael, and Yitzchak is considering going down to Mitzrayim. Hashem appears to him and says, Al tered Mitzrayima, shchon ba'aretz asher omar elecha. Don't go down to Egypt, reside, shchon, interesting word, in the land that I'll tell you. In the very next pasuk, Hashem says, Gur ba'aretz hazot. Not shchon, gur, reside in this land, and I'll be with you and I'll bless you because I'm giving you all these lands, etc. After receiving these brachot from Hashem and the directive to settle here, Yitzchak settles down in Gerar. But things don't go well for him at all. Yitzchak experiences very strong, what we would call anti-Semitism. First, his wife is taken. That, of course, we know happened to Avraham. But then when he receives God's brachot in the continuation of Perek Chavav, it leads to jealousy and hatred on behalf of the Plishtim, who stuff up the wells and eventually force him to move out of that region that God had told him to reside in. Yitzchak moves from place to place, finally digs a well that he calls Rehovot, and is able to start building his settlement. The most surprising part of the Perek, though, is the conclusion. It says that after Yitzchak digs Rehovot and settles there, Avimelech and his group and General Pichol, who had conflicted with Yitzchak in the very beginning of the Perek, suddenly arrived to visit him. V'Avimelech halach elav migrar v'achuzat mireu Pichol sar tzvo. Vayomer lehem Yitzchak says to them, Madu abatem elai? Why have you come to visit me? Ve'atem seneitem oti. You've hated me. V'tishalchuni me'itchem, and you sent me away from you because you hate me so much. It's an excellent question. On the one hand, we read here about how anti-Semitism can be resolved. They had conflicted with, had hated, jealous of Yitzchak earlier, and now they're interested in making peace with him. On the other hand, we read of Yitzchak's surprise at this. Why? Why are you suddenly interested in being my friend? Vayomru, and they say, Ra'o ra'inu ki haya Hashem imach. We have seen that God has been with you, and therefore we want to make peace with you. The obvious question is, why did they see this in the beginning of the Perek when Yitzchak was successful? Why do they suddenly see it now? I think the answer is very simple and relates to what happened right before in the flow of the Perek. Throughout Perek Chavav, when Yitzchak has his conflict with Avimelech, when he's dealing with the wells, never does Yitzchak openly speak in the name of God and identify himself as a man of God. When he's asked by Avimelech, why did you do this with your wife? He doesn't respond like Avram did by talking about God and Ein Yirat Elokim B'Makom Hazeh. Yitzchak says, I was afraid you would kill me. And the wells and the naming of the wells, he never uses God's name in reference to the wells. When he moves away from the Plishtim and he digs a new well, which he calls Rehovot, he says, Ki ata hirchiv Hashem lanu ufarinu v'aretz. He attributes his success to God. And right after that, God appears to him the second time in Pasuk Chavdalid and promises him again to be with him. This time Yitzchak responds, Pasuk Chavhei, Vayiven shem mizbeach vayikra v'shem Hashem. He builds the mizbeach and calls out in the name of God, like his father Avraham. Now that Yitzchak is calling out in the name of God, now that Yitzchak is attributing his success to God, Avimelech and Pichol and his group can see Yitzchak as a man of God. And when people are seen as a man of God, not as a man of God attacking other people, but a man of God living in God's mission, people can respect that and understand that. The Jewish people, if they want anti-Semitism to turn into healthy relationships, if they want to succeed in the land of Israel and have the nations of the world identify their goods, l'shevach, as being peirot of Eretz Yisrael, the products of Eretz Yisrael, we need to make clear that we're here and we're representative of God's mission that he's given us in giving us this land. As the other peoples of the world know through their Bibles, we have to express and identify ourselves that way. When we speak in that clear voice about our right to be here and about what we generate from here and our identity as a people, we can hope for what Yitzchak experiences in the end of the Parsha, the reconciliation with his enemies, that's rooted in Ra'o Ra'inu Ki Haya Hashem Imach, that we've seen that God is with you because you identify yourselves that way. Shabbat Shalom.